It was a soft spring morning when Alina first saw Rayen. She wasn't expecting anyone to steal her breath that day. She was sitting under the old oak tree in the university gardens, sketching the fluttering cherry blossoms in her notebook, trying to find peace in the chaos of exams. That's when she noticed a boy sitting across the lawn, alone, book in hand, and yet his eyes weren't on the pages. He was staring at the sky as though he was trying to memorize the way the clouds moved. Intrigued, Alina kept glancing at him. His presence stirred something unfamiliar inside her. Something soft. Something dangerous. They didn't speak that day. But the universe had other plans. 2 days later, she bumped into him in the campus library, literally. Her books scattered on the floor, and he helped her pick them up. When she looked into his eyes for the first time up close, hazel, flecked with gold, it felt like someone pressed pause in the world. "Alina," she said, voice steadier than she felt. "Rayen," he replied. "Beautiful name. Are you always this graceful?" She laughed. That was the first time he made her laugh, and from that day on, he made it his mission to keep doing so. Their bond grew like ivy, slow, steady, winding around the parts of her heart she never knew were vulnerable. They shared books, coffees, walks in the rain, and midnight conversations under the stars. He brought her sunflowers when she was stressed. She left little notes in his notebooks with silly poems. One evening, after a particularly long walk in the hills, they stood watching the sun dip behind the horizon. He turned to her, brushed a strand of hair from her face, and whispered, "I think I'm falling for you, Alina." She didn't reply with words. She leaned forward and kissed him, soft and slow, like she was tasting poetry on his lips. Their love grew deeper, fuller, and more daring. Kisses turned longer, hungrier. They danced in her apartment when it rained. He kissed the back of her neck as she cooked. She ran her fingers through his hair when he read to her in bed. And sometimes on colder nights, they simply held each other, skin against skin, warmth shared in silent gratitude. Their sleeping arrangements gradually blurred. What began as short naps on the couch turned into full nights in each other's arms. Rayen would hold her close, pressing soft kisses to her shoulder as she fell asleep. Alina once whispered, "I feel like home with you." Rayen only tightened his arms around her and murmured, "That's because you are my home." They traveled together, got lost in alleyways of old cities, took silly pictures, kissed under ancient bridges, and made love in quiet hotel rooms where the only sound was their laughter and heartbeats. Everything seemed perfect, except something was always hidden in Rayen's eyes. A kind of sadness. A secret that refused to surface. Alina asked once. He brushed it off with a smile. "I just want to live in the moment with you," he said. And so she let it be. It happened on a winter evening. Alina was waiting for him at their favorite cafe, sipping chai, watching the door. He never came. She tried his phone. No answer. Hours passed. Days. Then she got the call. Rayen had died. A car accident. Sudden. Brutal. No last words. No goodbye. But that wasn't the shock. The real shock came later, when she was cleaning out his apartment, sobbing into his shirts, and found a box under his bed. Inside were dozens of letters addressed to her, each with a date on the envelope. Some for their future wedding day. One for the day they'd find out she was pregnant. A few for arguments they might have. And one final letter, marked for, "The day I'm no longer with you." She opened it with trembling hands. "My dearest Alina, if you're reading this, I've left earlier than I wanted. I knew this was coming. I've had a heart condition since I was a child. I kept it from you because I didn't want our love to be painted in sadness. I wanted you to know me as I was, not as a countdown. Loving you was the most beautiful thing I've ever done. Your smile was the last thing I wanted to see. Your laughter, the last sound I wanted to remember. And if there's something beyond this life, I'll find you there, too. Promise me you'll keep living. Keep laughing. Keep painting your dreams. I will always be there. In a song, a breeze, a midnight sky. Yours always, Rayen." Alina broke down on the floor, clutching the letter to her chest. Years passed. The ache never truly faded.
But she lived.
She painted again, traveled again. Sometimes she even fell asleep on the couch, feeling phantom arms around her. And every spring, when cherry blossoms bloomed, she returned to that old oak tree. Because sometimes love is a lifetime, even if the lifetime is shorter than you'd hoped. And sometimes, even when the stars forget to shine, a memory can light the night. 1 year later, the seasons turned, but time didn't move the same way for Alina anymore. It had been a year since Rayen's death. A year of wandering through grief's fog, of talking to shadows and hugging pillows that smelled like him. Some days she still woke up expecting to feel his arms around her. But spring returned. The cherry blossoms bloomed again. She sat beneath the same oak tree, a notebook in her lap. She hadn't drawn since that day. But now, something stirred inside her. A whisper, gentle and persistent. Maybe it was Rayen's memory nudging her forward. She opened the sketchbook and began. That afternoon, someone called her name. Alina? She turned. It was a man, tall, lean, with thick black hair. He wasn't Rayen, but there was something about him, his eyes. The exact hazel shade with gold flecks. Her heart skipped. She stood frozen. "I'm sorry," he said quickly, noticing her confusion. "I didn't mean to startle you. I think you knew my brother, Rayen." Her legs nearly gave out. "I'm Kian," he said, voice quieter now. "I found your name in the letters he wrote. He mentioned you in almost all of them." Alina felt tears sting her eyes. She didn't know what to say, so she just whispered, "You look like him." Kian smiled sadly. "He always said you were his whole world. I had to meet the girl who made my brother write poetry in the margins of his medical bills." Over the following weeks, Kian and Alina met a few more times. It began with coffee, shared silences, and long talks about Rayen, his childhood, his stubbornness, the way he hated onions and always cried at animal documentaries. But soon, they talked about other things: art, travel, books. And laughter came back into Alina's life. At first, she felt guilty, like smiling was a betrayal. But one evening, when she confessed this to Kian, he said, "Alina, Rayen would want you to be happy. If he saw you now, laughing again, he'd be at peace." Then he took her hand. His touch wasn't fiery or romantic. It was grounding, safe. But something was shifting. Dreams and memories. That night, Alina dreamed of Rayen. They were in a field of sunflowers. He was wearing that stupid hoodie she loved. He cupped her face and whispered, "It's okay. Love again. You were never meant to stay broken." When she woke up, she was crying, but she also felt free. Months passed. Alina and Kian grew closer. He helped her repaint her apartment. They spent late nights watching movies, their hands slowly finding each other. They never spoke about what was happening. It was fragile, sacred.